Hey guys, Luna here, and welcome back to Pesterquest. And last off, we just finished it through the first act. Now, before I continue on, I'd actually like to go into the warnings. As a general rule, Pesterquest contains adult language, violence, and innuendos. Content warning for specific routes can be accessed by clicking on the route title. And since we're going to go into Volume 2, Something Beyond the Sky, which is Rose Route, there is a content warning for alcoholism, underage drinking, and neglectful parenting, which is definitely something that you guys should be aware of. So, at the beginning of each volume from here on out, I am going to be going into each of these warnings so people can be aware of potential things that might not be entirely okay. Anyways, shall we? So we're gonna go into Volume 2, Something Beyond the Sky. On the advice of your new friend John, you go visit one of his closest comrades. Close only figuratively speaking, since it seems she lives all the way on the other side of the country. There's no problem for you, though, since your new powers let you hop anywhere, anytime, even to places that don't exist. Well, you think your powers let you do that. You just have this distinct metatextual feeling that you could pretty much go anywhere at this point. You know that doesn't make any sense. There's nothing that doesn't make any sense about friendship, though, and that's exactly what you're about to do. Friendship, that is. You're going to do some friendship by making new friends. And her name is, you check your notes, Rose. Which is definitely something I should make a little note about, just so I don't forget, because I am probably going to forget. Flip, because knowing me, I will forget this. So, I'm also going to make a note to remind myself to remember to see the warnings, since that is also very important. Okay, so this is our house apparently. Looks kind of weird and modern, but it's situated in the middle of the woods for no good reason you can think of. Also, it's pouring rain, which is not what you would describe as an ideal friend-making conditions. Still, nothing stops a mailman, not from delivering mail, nor from making friends. Rather famously, rain and other similar weather patterns provide no deterrent to the performance of his duty. And there is no duty more important than friendship. Which is definitely very true. Rose actually looks quite nice. Suddenly, a woodland girl approaches. Who goes there? Oh, it's your new friend Rose. Obviously, there's literally no one else this could be. You introduce yourself. You are the cool mailman who John told her to expect a visit from soon. You would doff your mail hat to signal a friendly greeting, except recently you accidentally dropped it into a sewer along with all your other mail-specific clothes, as well as all the mail you were supposed to deliver, as you explained to her gratuitously in an unconvincing manner. It's not a great start, you admit, but you've done much worse. You aren't a mailman. Yikes, you are busted almost immediately. You briefly consider whether you should try and say something mailman-like, or whether the right call is to come clean, since she is clearly too smart for this amateur bullshit. But it's taking a few seconds too long for you to decide, which looks guilty as hell. That's it, the jig's up. You slouch in defeat. You ask her if you would please consider not telling John. Your heart couldn't take it if you found out your entire friendship was based off on a lie. You want me to keep a secret from one of my best friends to protect the feelings of a rambling buffoon I've never met and arbitrarily showed up to my house in the remote wilderness like a creep. today is the day you just got owned by teens. She's totally right. What are you even doing just wandering up to your house without even calling first? It's just totally disrespect her of her time. No need to self-flagellate. It's a simple suggestion to more critically examine your motivations and actions in the future. No, she's right, you're going. You zap away, aiming for a spot half a mile away into the woods where you can properly soak and become soaked and miserable, but instead of trees, you find yourself standing in front of a bank of computers. Gee, inspired. Wait, you remember seeing this big structure off the distance when you were off in front of Rose's house? You figured it was some sort of office building, but this looks like some kind of factory or secret research lab. The computers show coordinates on the screen that doesn't mean anything to you. Is it a clock down clock? Or is it the actual time? This photo on 4:13. I love this has the trappings of a tableau someone set up for you to see. Turning away from the screens, you wander down a long line of gleaming science fiction equipment. It reminds you of pictures of old computers from the 1950s, the ones that took up the entire rooms. I bet you could go back and visit some of those if you zapped hard enough. You wander through the whole maze of halls and wide echoing rooms that aren't pictured because our art budget is only so big, but take it as a certainty that they're all very mysterious. Eventually you circle back to the strange bank of screens. Nervously, you hit a few keys. Tap a few fingers against the readouts. Nothing. It's all locked down. You think that you could only get these screens to unlock if you could unravel the secrets to life, the universe, and everything. Or maybe it's your memories you are trying to unlock. Maybe then you'll understand the seething waters of this endless ocean of time, space, and intertwining in the... Yeah. Hey, it's Mom. You turn around expecting a cat, and you do get a cat. A very adorable black kitten. Tiny and soft with far more eyes. Aww. But this cat isn't the only thing here. A woman in a sleek white lab coat and sensible heels holds the cat, pinning you to the spot with her gaze. Or at least, you assume she is. Her hair is in her eyes, and the light is behind her, so all you can see of her face are her painted lips. Sorry, ma'am. You absolutely didn't mean to trespass in her secret science lab, and you actually aren't even lying. You really did just fuck up this song. The lady puts down the cat slowly, where it rolls on its back and bats a paw playfully in the air. Aww. Cats are great, even mutant cats. Maybe especially mutant cats? This little guy should have named, you think you'll name them Cryptid McWhiskers. Yeah, Cryptid McWhiskers is a great name. In fact, you can't imagine anyone ever naming this cat anything else. You hold a hand out to Cryptid McWhiskers and wiggle your fingers. It rolls back onto its feet and saunters over to you. It is as soft as fluffy as it looks, and all four eyes blink up at you with a utter trust. At least, kitty, this will be your friends. The ominous clack of heels and cement remind you that you and Cryptid McWhiskers are not alone. While you are busy with the cat, the very intimidating and well-coffeed lady has walked over to the bank of the screens. He presses a button, and it must have some sort of fingerprint recognition or retinal scanning, or maybe she's just better at things than you are, because it works for her. On the floor, a few feet from you, is a ground-grade protrusion, a platform in the floor. You saw it earlier, but you had no idea what it was for, so you just ignore it. What you don't understand can't circuitry, right? You think that's probably right. The intimidating lady presses a button on the screen, mouth turning up at the corners. A flash and a pop, like the pressure in the room changes. You feel it in your eardrums. A pumpkin appears on the round gray platform, which, if you remember in the original Homestruct, if you guys actually read through that, you would know that this is an apparator, I think, or one of the names that makes things here. Fuck. You aren't really sure what she's trying to say here. Making a pumpkin appear out of thin air is impressive, but it probably would have been more so if you hadn't been popping in and out of existence all day. It's gonna take more than a pumpkin to impress you. Pumpkin? What pumpkin? The lady shakes her head and hits another button. The pumpkin vanishes, and in its place is a tiger. Yes, you heard that right. Your whole ass tiger. Orange and black, big teeth and big paws. For a second, the two of you just look at each other. Honestly, the tiger might be more shocked than you are. Kinda sucks to think about. One sec you're just chilling on the savannah, mauling antelopes and drinking that. Next, you're in a secret lab in upstate New York, staring down a very unappetizing looking protagonist. Apparently, you're appetizing enough for it to want to get a taste, though, because it looks like from you to cryptid mythic whiskers and then back again, then it charges. Trying to book it out of there, the lady in the lab coat looms up in front of you. She's saying something. You strain to hear. The tiger is right behind you. The lady or the tiger? At the last minute, you remember you have magic powers, and you choose the third option, teleporting the fuck out of there. Oh, not again. You just zapped into yet another unknown building. Although from the view outside the window, you think you might be in Rose's house. Also, the fact that Rose turns a corner in the hallway and stops short. Still on a ring here. Her eyes are very wide. You wave awkwardly. That snaps her out of it. She stands up straight, sliding easily from shock to superiority. You just thought you'd let yourself in? After wasting my time mumbling about the mail, gaudy display of manipulation, self-reincrimination, and then popping out of existence to leave me asking myself if I finally lost my mind. I hadn't meant to do any of that, especially not that last part. She isn't losing her mind, unless both of you are losing your minds together. Rose looks you over. Finally, seems to decide that you are real. Your predilections toward mailman mimicry weren't all that John told me about. Oh? He also said that you had certain powers. Powers of teleportation and time travel. I told him that he must be mistaken since it's well-known and accepted fact that magic, although a popular and highly encouraging subject of witching, is fake as hell. Oh, your zappy powers? No, those are totally real and not fake. Real in a different way than you being a mailman is real, since that's actually made up. She's still got her umbrella open. Hey, doesn't she know that's bad luck? Luck is also fake as hell. You say you can do magic. Prove it. But she just saw you vanish out of her... out in her front yard. Like I said, I could be losing my mind. She could be losing it now, at this very minute, but you see no point in arguing. You hold out a hand, and after a moment of hesitation, Rose puts her fingers in yours. Her nails are long and sharp and painted a glossy black. She closes her eyes and her umbrella droops. Should I picture my room or something similar? I'm not quite sure how this is supposed to work. She still thinks you're fucking with her. You tell her that you guess she can do that if she wants. Oh, this is actually quite a nice room. Very quaint. Zap! When you open your eyes, you find yourself in a large, messy bedroom. Oh! She drops her umbrella. You really did that. Your boots track muddy prints. Oh no, that's gonna be a pain to get clean. Surprise! You really are magic. Rose puts a small hand against her perfectly painted black lips. She seems momentarily lost for words, and you get the feeling that is not a thing that happens very often. Her eyes are wide and deeply purple. They're sparkling, you might even say. Hold on, I'll be right back. Stay here, do not go out into the hall. It's not safe. You tell Rose to take her time. You're happy to just stand here dripping on her nice clean floor. She leaves the room and you take the opportunity to examine your surroundings a little more closely. The bed is unmade, books are strewn over the floor carelessly, a collection of half-drunk cups of coffee crowd the crowd the desk. Half-finished knitting products lay in soft piles all over the room. In fact, there's a lot of evidence that this room is often occupied by someone with a lot of interests who have trouble settling down and putting your attention to one thing at a time. Why does this speak to me? Man, he relates. Not with interests, but with friends. You can't imagine settling for just one. Rose has a number of posters on her wall, although nowhere as near as many as your friend John. The calendar hangs beside the window. Days tick off with little X's all the way up to 4/13, which is circled. You step closer to read the year date up to the corner, 2009. But why the hell do you care about the date? You can make friends on any day of the damn weeks. Rain or shine, night or day. So this is March 13th. Wait, no. April 14th. I'm trying to remember my Homestuck lore. 13. Don't know what it is. Well, it's just sure taking a while up there. She told you that you hadn't been safe out in the hall. Maybe she had been quipping. Maybe she's actually in trouble. What should he do? You're too anxious to sit still, and you aren't the sort of person who just sits there and waits for friend opportunities to fall in their laps. Better to run headlong into danger, or as much danger as a minimalistic upper-class house in the middle of the woods can offer. Who else had told you that it isn't safe? You creep out into the hallway where a bunch of things happen more or less simultaneously. A deluge of quick-time events that you had no idea were coming. Lightning flashes in a perfect jagged line across the tall window at the end of the hall, followed immediately by the crash of thunder so loud you think the house might be falling down. Abruptly, all the lights go out. Oh, great. Another flash of lightning, and for a fictitious moment you see a long, thin figure superimposed against the window. You shriek the fuck at the foot in the air and yowling like a cat. A small hand lands on your shoulder and you jump again. Calm down, it's just me. Rose speaks in a normal tone and voice, and it's jarring. The house is echoing, cavernous, and there's just something about a dark house on a stormy evening that can make but for a reason. It's too early for my mother to be sauce enough not to notice random strangers in her house, and I don't want to go through the tenuous process of explaining who you are. You have a perfectly understandable reason for why you left, and the reason is that you were lonely. Rose snorts. Cold? You mean you were cold? Well, you are soaking wet, honey. She grabs you by the wrist and pulls you down the hall. Wonder if you warned her about the strange wraith-like creature you saw by her window, but you don't want to freak her out. Although, her mind might be at risk too. Whatever, Mom's so tough. She'll be fine. This probably isn't the first time she's gone toe-to-toe with a weird slender man. This house looks haunted as shit. Alice brings you to a dark laundry room, then motions you to take off your hoodie, which you do, gladly, because it's soaking wet. That's interesting. The sign on the front, does it mean anything? Oh yeah, it's kinda cool. A blue line that zigzags on one end like lightning. Looking at it makes you feel unsettled. Realize Rose is still waiting for a response, so you just hand her the hoodie and tell her no. Pretty sure it's just an abstract sign. Then you stand there for a while she tosses the sweatshirt in the dryer, feeling the alarming currents of memory in your bloodstream. You're sure there must be something you forgot to do, but you continue to feel weird as Rose hits the drive button and nothing happens. Fuck. She hits the button a few more times, as if that will make a bit of a difference when the power is out. She presses her thumbs and forefingers to the bridge of her nose. Well, you aren't going to fit in anything of mine. She leads you down more long, dark hallways. Man, this house is unreasonably huge. You ask Rose if a lot of people live here. No, just me, my mother, and a horde of liquids not soluble in water. Here, try not to drip on the carpet. You aren't sure how you're supposed to manage that, but okay. This room is large and dark, and when Rose parts the curtains, a flash of lightning illuminates a four-poster bed, a long corridor, and a shelf covered head to foot in bottles. Rose vanishes through another door, leaving you to peruse. This is all liquor. Shit, this is a lot of booze. Here, I'm not sure what you would want to wear, but this should work until the power comes back on. We can dry your clothes. Rose hands you a long silk robe. She won't miss this. I don't think she's ever even worn it. She has a whole closet full of fantastic clothes that she never puts on. You take the robe and go to the bathroom. It's kind of a mess. The tub looks like it hasn't been cleaned in a long time. The robe gives you that same kind of knotted feeling of familiarity that looking at your hoodie did, but you put it away. It's a relief to get out of your wet clothes, hang them carefully on the shower rod. You head back into the bedroom and find Rose standing in front of the wall of liquor. She's holding a bottle of Grey Goose and squinting at the label like she's trying to read the nutrition facts. I've often wondered what exactly the merits of consuming this are. It tastes quite literally like burning. She opens the bottle, and before you can protest that she is by no means legal drinking age and wherever the fuck you are, she puts the bottle to her mouth and takes a sip. She sputters. Ugh, it's terrible. You could have told her that. Straight vodka isn't for the uninitiated. You had fancy vodka. You take the bottle from her. She hesitates for a moment, then you lets it go. You set it back onto the shelf. This really is quite an impressive liquor cabinet. Liquor wall, liquor room. Your mom must really have a refined palate. Don't strain yourselves. You can say it. What's the point of missing words? He's a fucking alcoholic. Oh, that's intense. You're not even sure if you're prepared for something this heavy. You're kind of counting on some silly shenanigans. Maybe a couple funny jokes. You're not cut out for this. You get the feeling that at some point you might have been cut out for this. You might have been some sort of person your friends or potential friends could count on. In fact, you know on some level that this is true, but whether you try to nail down any sort of specifics, you find you're a gaping lacuna in your experiences, and it's all sort of just white noise. Rose's shoulders slump as she stands surveying her mother's bottle. She doesn't even have the decency to hide her disgraceful habits. She needs an entire wall of liquor bottles. She doesn't have people over. She doesn't have any friends. It's all just for me. Just more of her passive-aggressive act of a femme fatale 1950 housewife with a death wish. It's just like the wizards. Wizards? Don't worry about it. You know how long it's been since I've had a home-cooked meal? I'm not saying I require to deserve a lovingly crafted culinary masterpiece every time I sit down to eat it. That's going a bit far. I know John complains about being plagued by fatherly concern every chance he gets. He's overwhelming by pastries whatever he ventures from his room. I'm glad my mother doesn't poke her considerable nose into my private affairs, but I'm sick of eating oatmeal. Rose, I told you don't worry about it. But you will worry about it. You worry about all of your friends, all 2 of them. Rose smiles with half of her mouth. It seems to be all she can manage. Lightning crashes. She looks so small and sad against this wall of bottles. You know how to fix this. Thunder rolls and you clench your fist. A friend. You don't know who you are. You don't know why you're here. But you do know that surely that you have these powers for a reason. What better reason than helping a poor girl with her troubled home life? Rolling up your sleeve, you get to work. Let's start with the dark liquors first. Your experiences, those cause worse hangovers, and more likely to contribute to the absence of hot motherly meals and over the consumption oatmeal. Grab 2 bottles of rum and 1 of bourbon, which you tuck under one armpit. And then you zap out into the house and into a clearing in the nearby woods. A couple hours ago, before it started raining, you drop the bottles and go back for more. You're just stealing all my mother's liquor? Is this your solution to her alcoholism? Don't worry, Rose can thank you later. Just go for the tequila next, then the vodka. Then you just get sick of this organized approach and just start grabbing whatever the fuck and dumping it into the past. Rose watches you do this for a while, and then she hops up on the counter, crosses her legs, and starts texting. Oh, she's really so intent on her conversation that she isn't even noticing you fixing her domestic situation. She keeps giving you little fleeting looks, and you're pretty sure she must be talking about you. You should let her talk. It isn't right to try and invade your friend's privacy. You attempt to resist the temptation, which you fail at immediately. Not even an overused meme can save you. You zap behind her onto a counter where you can spy on her private correspondent. Don't know anything about them, I'm sorry. Here was me trying to take advantage of your uncanny ability to make guesses verging on prognostication. The action of foretelling or prophesying future events. Recently considering a reevaluation of magic. You don't know who this person is. Maybe you should just... You start back in time a couple of minutes, so when Rose started a conversation. Your past self is busily zapping back and forth, carrying liquor bottles. You'll hunker down so you don't see yourself and cause a paradox or whatever the fuck. Garden Genosik. Out of the morbid curiosity to shine a light on my future, I come with metaphorical hat in hand to ask you to consult your dream clouds. Do you happen to know anything about a strange cardboard cutout creature masquerading as a mailman? Sleeping? Sorry, I had to scold Beck. He's been acting really weird all of a sudden. Anyway, is this the same mailman that John was talking about? The fake one who hung out with him? That's the one. They are currently emptying my mother's liquor cabinet in an attempt to prevent her from overindulging herself. Oh, are they drinking it? No, I think they're just dropping it into the woods with their magic powers. Oh. Do they know if that she could just go out and buy more liquor? That's something where you live, right? Yes, well, not exactly where you live. I think the nearest brewery is a good 20-minute drive. I'm not actually entirely sure where my mother got it at all. I don't own a car. As far as I know, sometimes it's just like she has the ability to just make things appear. I don't know anything about them, I'm sorry. And here was me trying to take advantage of your blah 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 blah. I'm still pretty sure magic's fake. At least the kinds of magic you're talking about. There's probably some real magic out there somewhere. Yes, for instance, the sort that lets you spy on your hostess' private correspondence while you are stealing her mother's libations. You freeze. With a contrite snap, you reappear in front of Rose. She sets her phone down and props her chin up on a delicate fist. Sorry, you honestly didn't know what got into you. You just couldn't resist using your powerful evil. Haven't you heard with great power comes great responsibility? Rose is right. She's totally right. You've only had this power for like a day, so you're still not used to the idea of being able to just zap around all over the narrative. Clearly, you do not appreciate the implications. Zapping all over the narrative sounds potentially stressful. Definitely stuffy nose, sorry about that. Oh, but you are incredibly stressed right now. Rose laughs. You apologize for stealing all of her mom's drinks. That was kind of overzealous of you. No, actually, I thought it was hilarious. Never really been one for pranks. That's always fallen into more of John's wheelhouse, but there's nothing wrong with occasionally stepping outside one's own comfort zone. Let's do the vodka next. The two of you work together, gets the place cleaned out pretty quick. You zap Rose along with you to the bright clearing in the field, and for a moment she just stands in the sunbeam, blinking up at the cloudless sky. Her expression says she might not totally be convinced of any of this is actually happening. When all the liquor has been transferred from the bedroom to the woods, in a big glittering dragon's hoard of booze, you and Rose fall down next to it in a messy heap. When you fall in the messy heap. Rose lowers herself daintily, sitting more on her knees than her butt, probably to keep her skirt from getting dirty. You get the idea that even though she lives in the middle of nowhere, she doesn't spend a ton of time outside. You tell her you spied on her correspondence with the green friend GG. Also, you hope she isn't going to get in trouble with her mom. I am not unduly concerned. I'll tell her where it all is in a couple days, although by that time, I'm sure at least a good third of it will be water damaged. I'm sure this will have a fantastic implication for our relationship, and not at all exuberant the emotional problems underlying her addiction. You laugh awkwardly. Well, now you kinda just feel like an asshole. Rose lies back on the grass and raises a hand to trace the curves of a fluffy white cloud. She closes her eyes. Perhaps it's just my projection on my part, or wishful thinking, but ever since I met you, I feel like something has changed. Or rather, something has failed to change, if that makes any sense. Probably nothing. Her eyes flicker back open, endlessly purple, fixed on the sky like she can see something beyond it. Once again, you can feel like there's something really crucial that you forgot. At least you made a new friend, and even if you don't think Rose Brand would ever allow her to call you as such, you're lying in a sunny clearing next to a pile of alcohol, and honestly, it doesn't get much funnier than that. Victory! Let's load to see the other options. I'm going to stay put. Your patient pays off almost at once. Rose is back and looking significantly more put together. Also, she's brought you a towel. Here. I'm not overly touched on anything in here, but it's mostly just childish nonsense I haven't yet bothered to rid myself of. But I appreciate it if you haven't tried not to trip on any of the notebooks. She has changed out of her raincoat and boots, and she's dressed in a neat black skirt and a white shirt with a purple blob thing with the tentacles. What is it with these kids and their blob shirts? Now that's dealt with. Please sit down. She crosses her legs and suddenly you feel like you're at a job interview, friend interview. You wish you were a little less damp. Actually, let's switch places. You're so pretty wet, you don't want to get her bread spread messed up. Don't worry about what washing machines are for. Now, let's talk about magic. Which, up until now, I have always taken for granted as being something I confined to storybooks. Rose takes a wishful look toward her bedroom window, grayed over and blurry with raindrops. You get the feeling that she's doing it for effect. Maybe that's why she wanted you to switch places with her. Then comes you, the not a mailman with a penchant for showing up and attempting to make friends with unwitting children. Well, fair, she's got you there, but honestly, she might be a child, but she really doesn't seem to be unwitting. On the contrary, she's really quite witty. Had you noticed? She folds her hands and clears her throat. You think that if she had any notes, she would be shuffling them. And so, the question remains, are you a good witch or a bad witch? Or are you a wizard? We already established that you are not with serpents. Is there any difference between witch and wizard? Of course there is, but exactly how specific of a difference can vary. According to some works of fiction, a wizard is just a witch's male counterpart. But in certain mythologies, for instance, Arthurian legend, the difference appears to be class-based. Wizards reside at court and classically trained, while witches are self-taught and run wild through the forest. I won't deny that those differences tend to often be gendered as well. You ask her which one she is, a witch or a wizard. Me? Rose shifts, uncrossing and recrossing her legs. You shrug and say she just seems to know a lot about them. I know a thing or two. Can I tell you a secret? Oh my god, Rose, she has no idea how much you would love to hear her secret. I find them, wizards, utterly reprehensible. They disgust me. Everything from their floppish robes to their grisly beards. It's my mother who is the wizard enthusiastic in this house. Although, she glances from side to side, theatrically. Most of the thing Rose does seems to be at least a little bit theatrical. She kneels at the carpet beside the clutter of books. I don't show these to many people. Actually, I haven't showed them to anyone. Not even John? John seems like a pretty cool guy. Definitely a guy worth sharing a few secret notebooks with. Rose laughs. No, I haven't shown them to Don. I've only shown them shown Strider to punish him. You nod, pretending that you know who this Strider person is. You are a totally normal dude with an absolute ungodly number of friends. The moment moves through the center of you. Trembling moment of deja vu. You do have a lot of friends, don't you? That feels true, but the only person you know here are John and now Rose. Weird. You tried to put it to form your mind and listen to Rose again. She's still talking about this mysterious Strider, flipping through one of the journals too quickly for you to see anything specific, only that is full from cover to cover. As if my modest writings are the sole source of erotic tension in his life. There's this one who insists on fulfilling their home with a sort of dick buck for ironic purposes. Rose rolls her eyes. Oh boy, you missed the beginning of that. It probably made way more sense than it seemed like. Rose is searching through her notebook, checking markings on the spine that seem to be some sort of cataloging system of arcane symbols. There it is. Right. She does another quick and complex with her fingers, and another book pops into existence and falls into her lap. Okay. She really is a wizard. What? Just a Silodex. A child could use one. Here. This notebook has a couple of drawings in it, but most of it is filled with a small, neat, high-end writing in a lavender ink. Is Rose writing a book? No, don't be silly. I'm writing 4 books at least. Oh god, that's such a mood. 5, depending on whether I decide to flesh out Cal Massey's backstory. It isn't strictly necessary, but it does add a certain amount of variable character insight, which renders their actions in later volumes more sympathetic. Not that I need all my anti-heroes to be sympathetic, I'm just thinking of what literary reviewers would say. You nod? Smart. You would never have thought of what the literary reviewers would say. She's honestly pretty impressive for someone her age. Age has nothing to do with it. Well, don't get her carried. It's only a rough draft. You ask her if you can take a look. She hesitates, but you doubt she would have shown you it to you if she didn't want you to look. Well, if you can't trust the straight and spherical imprint you met outside the rain, who can you trust? Right? Your thoughts exactly. Rose hands you the notebook and you open it at random, letting fate guide your hands. Friglish bothered his beard and unkinking a hick in a long silk windsock. More pedestrian audience would have parsed the exhibit as a nervous compulsion. Maybe the petition contempt among the reasonable. And if you guys could read the cursive, you can see some of probably more. He was, however, not surrounded by the reasonable, but the wise, a distinction in men that would forever be the difference in history's garland of treasured follies. Matter of fact, his career of fellow wizards were all putting similar moves on their beards. The practice would evidence thoughtfulness, sagacity, even if they didn't do it at all times. Standing in line at the bank, shooting squirrels from bird feeders, few occasions were safe. Zapper Pen inspected the clue. A single piece of evidence cradled in his caressing old man palms was a human bone, not striking the tale it told alone so much as the story told by the thousand like it, fascinating the marshy soil of the mass grave, the grisly expanse of bore the texture of a decadent desert, like one of Snarney's formidable custard trifles wobbled out of the wheels on the holiday, the dismay of the small nation. You're certain? Asked Freilish. Despite what he was doing with his beard, he was, in fact, immersed in meaningful contempt. I am afraid, and this is the last one, I'm afraid I'm becoming more so with each terrible tick grousing by the guiding timepiece slung around your neck. In case it wasn't clear, Friglish wore a clock with Zazerpan didn't care for. It is magic. The massacre of Zozluk was not written. Wow, this is pretty dense, but smart. You stroke your own imaginary beard and pretend to ponder the deeper meaning. Yes, intriguing. Zazerpan and Friglish. Clearly there is some history there. Yes, clearly, but... But what the two of them share went beyond simple romance. That's why it has gone so spectacularly sour. Rose becomes increasingly more animated as she tells you more about her gay wizard OC, like she is far more interested in them than she is in herself. They share an intellectual bond, a mutual dedication to knowledge and the preservation of such. The goal of the learned is to amass the wisdom and keep it from the general dissemination into the main populace of wizards. They feed it to their apprentices in drips and drabs. Of course, this will eventually lead to ruin. Of course, you flip further into the book, searching for the part where it leads to ruin. Sounds interesting. Zazerpan knew he would see his wayward apprentice again. He knew it like he knew the tide would turn and the sun would ablaze in its zenith on each inexorable day past, now that they stood diametrically opposed across the overgrown chessboard. His apprentice's eyes were hidden beneath dark glasses, but Sanderpan knew that if he could see them, they would be riddled with the madness of the void. Calamasis wasn't here for justice or for revenge. They were here exclusively because Sanderpan had something they wanted, something that they were owed. You flip through the notebook, check out more drawings. There are a lot of wizards, each more bearded and venerable than the last. One of the pictures, the most recent, maybe since it's on the very last page of the journal, is of two young wizards, twins maybe. They have gray hair and are wearing slick green suits and are standing back to back with their arms entwined, staring into the middle distance. It's very anime. You compliment Rose on her artistic prowess. Yes, thank you, they're right. I'm a much better writer than I am artist. You tell her that you think she's really good, way better than you. You're absolutely positive she's going to be famous one day. I appreciate the encouragement, even though I know you're just trying to flatter me due to your strange thirst for affirmative experiences. John told me all about that. Damn, busted, but you really do think she's talented. It's fine. It's not as if my social calendar is overfull out here in the middle. Don't tell anyone I said that I don't have many friends. And don't tell them I've been drawing. You'd be insufferable. Ye? Never mind. You sure, Rose, that her secrets are safe and hand back her journal. You are really excited about your new friend, if you might be so bold, into wizard stories. Although, wait, hadn't she said she hated wizards? What's your point? Well, you're no experts on wizards or on Rose, but it seems like she actually does seem to like them, because she has several notebooks full of wizard fiction. You aren't trying to get, real here, but maybe it's possible her mom isn't the only one in the family who likes wizards. Rose pulls it back out of your hand. That and the rest of the books vanish into thin air. Oh right, that must have been that, what you call it, syntax? She doesn't look angry exactly, but the lines around her mouth and eyes that softened as she talked about her book must have hardened back up. Her eyes glitter menacingly. Well, that's right. Freud, why don't you diagnose me? Oh hey, wow, you weren't trying to be condescending or whatever. Clearly. Were you aware that it is a common psychological phenomenon for an individual to react to trauma by creating fictional representations of which has caused them bodily harm or emotional dismay? Suggests that the portrayal of those fictional renderings somehow contents them or supports them is absolutely absurd. So what she's saying is that she draws wizards to cope. Rose raises her regally to her feet. The lightning turns her into a ethereal silhouette. What I'm saying is that I don't need to justify my fictional predilections to you or to anyone else. No, she's totally right. We're sorry that you suggested she might like wizards. It was horribly presumptuous and not at all a way a friend should act. You again? So sorry. We promise it will never happen again. No, I don't suppose it will. It's probably just because Rose's hair's such a pale blonde, but it almost looks like she's glowing in the dim bedroom. The light behaves a little differently around her than everything else. Would you look at that? It appears the rain signed up a bit. The rain is hitting the window so loudly you're actually having trouble hearing her. And your point is, you can just zap yourself out to where the weather is drier. Fuck off. Go zap yourself. Time for the last option. Yes, that's what you want. That is an interesting proposition, if for no other reason than its audacity. I admire your resolve in the face of humiliation. This doesn't mean we're friends, though. Oof, rough. That's fine. You're hopeful. Your mind is fuzzy, but you think you'll remember this. You're good at this. You're excellent at making people like you, though, through underhanded means. You can't wait to take advantage of this 13-year-old's goodwill. Okay, well, not like that. Exactly, not like that. Let's not be fucking weird. In fact, let's be the last creepy thought you have for comical persons. S-grade jokes only. Let's get our brain out of this gutter. Rose raises a thin brow. There's some deep violet eyes. You're pretty sure most humans don't have eyes like that. But what the fuck do you know? You're the stranger around here. Wait, aren't you human too? Whatever, it's not a big deal. Not when there are friends to be made. Exactly. Or something. Do you want to come inside? Monologue, of course. Far be it from you to cut ever short and sort of navel-gazing sidebar. Yeah, I know, you're fine. It's just ever so slightly wet out here. Yes, you would absolutely love that. If it's not too much trouble, of course. You want to put Rose out. You're lying, though. You're 100% fine with being absolutely infuriatingly obnoxious if it means making a friend. Rose purses her lips, considering. Your predilections toward man-made crime, I thought all that John told me about. Oh? Lucis said that he had some powers. Powers of teleportation, and thick as hell. And that's so, prove it. And yeah, we're back into a room. They did that, your magic, be right back. And that's it. That, I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, month of your lives. And may the stars forever guide your path, wherever it might lead you into the future. Bye-bye.